Hey, Firuz. Hi.
Hi.
Good to see you. Okay. All right, Firuz, have you heard of OERs before?
No, I can hear.
So again, we're going to talk about OERs today. So there's OER Commons, Open Educational Resources, and we're going to understand what they are. We're going to look at a few examples. We'll examine one. We'll talk about how you can use and adapt them in your classes, and then we will search a database, OER Commons. So what are OERs? So they are high quality. Again, it's things that other teachers have made. They're free, right? That's always important for teachers that they're free. And they are online. And so that is the only issue, is that you have to have an internet access, right? So Wi-Fi or for your phone or for your computer, you have to download the materials before you go to your school if your school doesn't have good internet access. Or if you have tech problems like I've been having today, but I think I finally worked it out. All right, so like I said, we're going to look at OER Commons. And before we do that, I just want us to talk about a few of the symbols that you might see when you're looking through these materials. And so this is called the Creative Commons. So if you see a person, that means attribution. So that's the author of the original source must be credited. So for example, if Firuz does a really great activity in Ergut, and I go and I see him and I say, oh, that's a great activity, Firuz. Can I use it? And he says, of course, but just tell people it's my activity, right? So then I go to Saigora and I say, Saigora, look at this great activity that I have. I got it from Firuz. So I just have to say that I got it from him originally, right? If you see this backwards C right here, it means share alike. And so share alike just means that you have to share it under a similar license. So you can't take the resources and then republish them. So for example, I can't take Firuz's activity, put my name on it and say, Sayora, look what I made, right? I can't do that because it's not mine, right? And I can't publish it, somebody else's activity under my name. So the money, non-commercial, means that I can't republish it and sell it, right? I can't go to Sayora and say, oh, look at this great activity I made. Give me 5,000 som and you can have it. No, I can't do that, right? I can't make money off of Firuz's activity. If you see the equal sign, that means no derivative, which means a chain, no changes. And so I can reuse it, but I can't do any changes or adaptations. So the activity Firuz gives me, I can use, but I can't make any changes. So that's what that means. Again, you might see those symbols later when we look in the OER comments. All right, so the OERs for ELT examples, of course, there's OERs for all types of topics, right? For math or for science, geography. Today, I'm going to focus on English language teaching because we're English language teachers. And I'm going to be focusing on material that's set for A1 and A2, so beginner level, because I know from my time here in Uzbekistan that most of the students, primary and secondary school students, are at those levels. But of course, there's materials for B1, B2, C1, C2, right? So for your more advanced students, for yourself, you can find materials also. And then we're going to be looking at materials that have all of these skills because I know you teach all of those skills to your students. And so I will go ahead and I'm going to share this folder where I'm that has this PowerPoint and a bunch of materials I'm going to be showing you today. So I'll click on this link and it's going to take you. Go ahead and get this out of the way. It's going to take you here, okay? And so this material right here, this is OERs that you can download, okay? And these are OERs that a colleague of mine found just for English language teaching for ESL, EFL students. And so, but they're free, right? And you can use them with your students. And I'm going to talk about them a little bit more in depth, a few of them in just a moment. But what you can do if you want to use these is you can come here, go to this little, it says OER, push on that little diamond thing, and then you can come down here and push download. Okay, and you can download all these materials on your phone or on your computer. All right, and I'm going to talk about a few of these, but I just want to point out when you come into a folder like this one, communications beginning, there's audio files, and so you also have access to that. Okay, so I know that can be difficult to find good audio files, right? So these are the materials that I'm going to be talking about in just a moment with you. All right, so let me go ahead while I'm at it right here. What I'm going to do is just get this link and I'm going to put it in the chat box for you, okay? All right, so you can also get into those materials right there if you click on that link, okay? All right, and so just to talk about a few of these. So this one is called Home and School. It's set for A1, so it's for beginner level students. They're 10 very short stories, right? We can see here 1 page, 1 story. Each sentence of the story has a picture. So it's really good for the beginning level students. And there's some discussion and comprehension questions afterwards. So we have Nikki and Matt, they're classmates, right? We have her name is Nikki, simple sentence, his name is Matt. They are happy, right? So again, it's very, very basic, but it's good for those beginner students, and we've got the visuals. There's 10 of those. All right, the next one, this is a digital workbook, and it's about grammar. I know teaching grammar is really popular here in Uzbekistan, but the nice thing is this has a YouTube lecture that goes with it. And so you can show a short video to your students, or you can send them a link on Telegram if you have a Telegram group with them, or with their parents, and they can watch it at home. After they watch a video, then they come and they go to this link, and they do some activities to practice the grammar that they saw in the video. So you have grammar, but it's grammar that they've watched and listened to, and then they practice what they've heard. And so that's nice to have that connection. So there's time and dates, and then they do a classification exercise. And again, it's set for A1, so it's beginning level students. So communication at the beginning, that's what I showed you just a moment ago with those that folder that has the audio. It's listening, speaking book. And then there's a range of topics, lots of different topics. There's a vocabulary glossary. A glossary means the word plus a definition. And there's discussion questions. All right. So daily departures, we're going to focus on this a little bit more today. So it's speed reading passages. And this is a little bit more advanced, A2 level, so for A2. And these are 20 short speed readings, so timed readings, 5 comprehension questions. Why do you think it's good to have students be able to practice timed readings for the IELTS? I know the IELTS is popular. So what do you think? Farouz, Gulshan, Jabakir, Sayora, can you tell me, why is it good to practice timed reading when you are doing the TOEFL or the IELTS, right? What do you think? Any ideas? Well, we know that for the IELTS, they don't have a lot of time, right? And so it's really useful for your students if they can practice reading quickly, right, over a short amount of time. So that is something that these activities can help with. To manage time. Thank you, Sarah. I appreciate that. Yeah, I know maybe your connection is not very good for the video. It's hard to talk. So yeah, you can definitely use the chat box. Thank you. I appreciate that, Sarah. All right. And I think maybe somebody's not muted. Let's see, Java. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and mute you unless you want to say something. You can unmute, or you can go in the chat box like Sarah just did. Okay, good, because it's good for time management, right? And so what you do is there are some short readings. You time students as they read. You record their time in the graph. You calculate their word per minute, and this helps them encourage their speed. So let's go ahead and look at that right here. Okay, so I'm going to show you the PDF, and there's a folder that has all of these materials in it that I'm going to share with you. So here's the OERs. Okay. All right, and so you'll see this is the presentation I have right here, and here's the PDF that I'm going to show you, and then I'm going to share with you in just a second. This is called Daily Departure. This is what we are going to look at for speed reading. And again, this is A2. And so you can see here, and again, that PDF is in the that folder that I just showed you. Okay. All right, and there's 20 of them. They're different links, or different topics, excuse me, they're all the same length. So the first one, the old man waits at the post office, you see it's a paragraph, right? So you have the students read this, and then they write their time down here, and then they answer some questions, okay? And so there's 20 of those, and they're all the same. I'm gonna flip through them because you can download that and look at it later. But you can see here that one of the last pages is an answer key, which is really nice for the teachers, in case you're not sure. It's A2, so probably for most of you, right, it'll be easy, but just in case, right? And there's a progress. So the first time you have a student read, right? You write number 1, you have them read, you time it, maybe they get 3 minutes, right? Then maybe the next week or the next class, you do it the second reading, and then you have them and they get a little higher. Maybe they're 2 minutes, 20 seconds, right? So as you progress through these 20 readings, hopefully they start to get faster and faster, right? And so then you've got this nice chart and you can see that right there on the screen, right? And so it goes, hopefully you're going to have a nice graph that goes up and they're going to get faster, right? So they'll go from maybe 140 words per minute, they'll get a little faster and faster. 540 is quite fast, right? But still, it's a nice visual way to see how they're improving. So I will come here and I'll go to Google, right? So if you're timing students, you've got a few options. If you've got a watch, right, you can use the watch and walk around and just point to the time. You can use a phone. This is something that I do a lot. And you have a stopwatch, right? And you can push start. And then as they're reading, you walk around and they can see, right, the time and they can write it down. If you have internet access or you can use your phone as a hotspot in your school, I will just bring this up and all you have to do is come into Google and do timer. All right, and I'll bring this up and then I'll say, all right, everybody go. And then I'll start it. And then as they read, when they finish, they look up and they write down. Okay, so that is how you do it. And I would like all of you to practice how to do this. Okay, so again, it's always a good idea to practice how to be your students, right? So let's examine this one a little bit more closely. So I'm going to put a PDF of the speed reading, just the first one, okay? All right, now I'm going to time you, okay? So I want you to try to read this, okay? So are you ready? And I'm going to use this, all right? 1, 2, 3, go. All right, and so once you finish, you can either read it from the screen or you can look at the PDF that I sent you. All right, then you would stop and, right, we're gonna go ahead and stop again. So then what you would do, right, with your students is you would have them write on this chart, right? And so maybe they, here I stopped at 1 minute, right? So you write number 1, and then if they got a minute 10, you would come over here and you would do 345 words per minute, right? And so it can definitely motivate them. I've used this with students before and they really enjoyed it. So, all right. Do you have any questions about how to use that speed reading with your own students? Everybody's good. Okay, well, if you have a question, you can put it in the chat, okay? All right, so how can you use and adapt OERs for your classes? I'm not going to put you in a breakout room because we're just a few people here today. So what I would like you to do is I want you to think, how could you use this speed reading about the man in the post office for your students? What could you do for reading or for writing, for speaking, listening, vocabulary, and grammar? And for what grades? Do you think this is good for grade 4, for grade 6, or grade 7? And then how could you use this? And don't just say speed reading, right? We already know that. But why, right? And what sort of purpose, right? Oftentimes in the EFL context, we don't have a lot of resources, right? And so we have to think, what do we have? How do we use what we have? Even if it's one paragraph, right? We can do so much with it. We have to be creative, okay? And would you make any changes? All right, so you can either unmute yourself to talk about ideas that you have, or you can write in the chat box. So give you a minute or so to think about different things that you could do with this reading. So in here, ask what was it about to check their comprehension. Good. So you can do comprehension checks for sure, right? So that would be oral, right? You could have them tell you. Delafruz, I think that speed reading helps to concentrate. For sure, that helps with their concentration, right? To focus. But what else? What else do you think we could do? Not just for speed reading, right? So what about, what other reading skills could we test them on? What do you do with your students when you're doing reading? Not just comprehension, right? But what else? What else do you do? You could do like vocabulary, right? You could have them think about synonyms of vocabulary or antonyms of vocabulary that they see in the reading. For writing, I mean, you can have them write summaries, right? But you could also have them write a prequel, what happened before the story, or a sequel, what happened afterwards. For speaking, right? Maybe they create dialogues, they have to perform the story. Right? Good for vocabulary for sure, right? Vocabulary is really important. You could do fill in the blank, right? And for scanning, for sure, Sayora. So scanning, that's definitely an important skill that we teach our students for reading, right? For listening, you could have one person read the story aloud and other students have to listen to a dictation and write it down, right? They can also make their own questions, right? I know as teachers, we tend to think that we have to make all the questions, but we don't, right? We could have our students make questions and then they could switch questions and switch stories with each other if you have them read different stories, because they're all the same amount of words, right? In order to calculate the word per minute. For grammar, right? If you're focusing on a particular grammar tense in class, you could have them find that grammar, or you could say, okay, what are the verbs in here? If it's simple present, let's change them all to past, that kind of thing. So again, there's a lot of different activities we could do. So what grades do you think this would be good for? That passage that we just read, it was set for A2. I know when I've done this before at the Malagoshevitz in City Teacher Training Centers, people have said like grade 6, maybe grade 7. So that could be a good grade perhaps to do with your students. Again, I put the first one in there. You can go ahead and share. And I shared the PDF, right? You saw that already. So, okay, let's go on. So something that is really cool is something called an OER Commons. So this is a database, right? So this is like Google, but it's free. Other teachers have made this for each other to share and to be able to adapt and use materials. So I'm going to go ahead and click on this and I will share it in the chat box. All right. So you can go ahead and go to the website that way if you click on it in the chat box. All right. And then right there for everybody else who is watching it live, it says OER Commons, right? You can click on it there. And so we're going to explore this website a little bit more together, okay? And so I was teaching grade 8 in Samarkand, and the theme for grade 8 is Unit 9, the environment. Some of you might know that. And so I wanted to do something a little different, aside from just the book, right? Because as teachers, we're always doing supplemental activities for our students. So I typed in Earth Day. And some of you might know this is an international event. It celebrates how to protect the environment. In the subject area, I put English language arts. For education level, I put high school. And then, so high school is what you would say here in Uzbekistan is secondary school. For standards, just leave it as standards. And then I found a lesson plan that talks about, for ELLs, right, English language learners, how to practice and improve their speaking, reading, writing, and vocabulary, learning about Earth days. So let's go ahead. I'll show you what it looks like if you are doing this on a computer. Okay, so put in Earth Day. Here we go down English language arts. All right, here, high school, standard, and then we say search, okay? All right, we've got 2 lessons, right? So come down here and make sure you click on the words when you access this, okay? All right, it's important to click on view resource. All right, and then here's a lesson plan. So depending on what the teacher has posted, it could just be a lesson plan, it could be a PowerPoint, it could be a video, it could be audio. There's a lot of, it could be a Word document, PDF. So just depending on whatever they created is what you'll find here. So here it was a lesson plan, and this teacher had some photos. So you could click on the photos to go as a warm up, right? She talks about what to do here, some vocabulary brainstorming, writing a reading task, and then a class discussion, and then the assessment at the end. So I read through this and I thought, I think this seems pretty good. I think I can use this with my students here in summer camp. And I did, and they enjoyed it. But you have to think about this. You might have to adapt them, right? Because we always we make adaptations, changes for our students. And you're going to find that not all the activities in a lesson plan are useful. For example, she talked about visiting a local recycling center, which is common, right, in the US, but it's not common in other countries necessarily. For example, in Uzbekistan, right, we sort our trash, and so we put recyclables in a separate thing to make it easier for the people whose job is to come around and collect the recyclables to pick them up from the trash, right? So that's not really useful here. But something that Uzbeks do that I really like is they reuse plastic bottles. I like Fanta or Coca-Cola. After you drink it, rinse it out, you can cut it in half, right? And then you've got a plant holder. And something that's really great in Uzbekistan, as all of you know, is that there are a bunch of plants and flowers in schools. And the schools are really beautiful. There's a lot of nature there. And so you can help connect with that love of nature. Increase student engagement, right? By talking about how to reuse or repurpose something for Earth Day. And it connects to the textbook. All right, so now I want you to try, okay? So I know you might be watching this on your cell phone. So again, you have access to this PowerPoint in that folder I showed you where you can download, and I'll go ahead and just stick the PowerPoint in the chat box for those in this workshop. But here are the steps for how to search OER on your cell phone. So let me go ahead and just stick the, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and put, for those people here today, I'm going to put the PowerPoint right there for you. I'm going to put the speed reading that we did, so you can download those directly to your phone or computer, okay? And then again, everybody else, right, or you can also download this, right? If you come right here, right, you can come here and you can do this, click on that, come down here and download, just like the other folder that I showed you, okay? Okay, I just wanna make sure you have all those materials. All right, so this is what it looks like. And again, you can look at it later if you are on your phone. It can be hard to look at your phone and do it at the same time, I understand that. So this is what it looks like if you do it on a phone. So you've got OER Commons. So you want to make sure you come up here, and you can go into Google, into the search engine, and just put into Google, put OER Commons, okay? You can just put these words right here, OER Commons, and this will come up and you can click on it, okay? And then it'll look like this. And you want to click on the magnifying glass right there, okay? Once you do that, what's going to happen is that the search bar is going to open up. So I showed you what it looked like on my computer, right? It was down below, it was bigger, but if you're doing it on a phone, it's probably going to be on the side like this, okay? And then think of a topic. I know food is common thing to teach here in Uzbekistan. So what I would like you to do is come here. You want to put in the word food, okay? And then here you want to put in English language arts. Again, we're English language teachers, right? And then for education, you want to say middle school. And middle school means grades 5 to 8. And then for the standards, just leave it as standards and make sure you push search, okay? All right, so once you do that, you are going to find results, right? And you might find, like the first thing I showed you, there was only 2 things, right? Or you might find like 12,000. And so it just depends on what you're searching for. So here there's 26 results. And so you had to flip through on your phone to look at different options, right? And so for me, I thought that something that was interesting was US versus UK English, talking about the different vocabulary and pronunciation about food between American English and British English. And so I chose that. And so what you want to do, make sure you click on the words, not on the little X there, the box, click on the words, okay? And you might find that it takes some time, right? It's not something that's going to be super fast, right? Sometimes it will just take some time to search for materials, but I promise you that it's worth it. Okay. All right, and then the next screen you're going to find, it's going to see this, and you're going to see view resource. And you have a lot of buttons you have to push. So you're going to push view resource again. All right, then you're going to come over here and it says next. So you're going to click next. All right, after that, right, it's you've got 2 out of 3. So the first thing that comes up on your phone, there's no resources for you. But the second thing you're going to find here is a PowerPoint, okay? So this is a PowerPoint that the teacher put together. You might have to scroll down your screen a little bit, okay? And what you want to do is click on it to download. Then you can go and click on next, okay? And when you do that, you're going to come to 3 out of 3, okay? And this is a Microsoft Word document talking about pancakes or bellinis, right? And then again, you want to click on it. You can download it to your computer or to your phone. And so I'm just going to show you, if you happen to do that, what you're going to find here is about American English and British English. So again, what this teacher put together, she's talking about spelling, she's talking about pronunciation. And then there's a lot of really great photos here. So there's a photo, there's the American English on the left-hand side. So we would call this arugula, which I really like arugula. British English, they would say rocket. So, and then it continues, right? So we've got French fries for Americans, chips for the Brits, you know, potato chips, crisp, and it continues on. So it's a really useful PowerPoint, and we know, of course, right, that the photos are really important for students, that visual, okay? And then that connects to the activity, the Microsoft Word document. If you downloaded that, what you'll find here is recipes about pancakes. Again, those are bellinis. And so we got recipe A, so that's one student, and there's some fill in the blanks here. So they have to read through here and then complete the information, and they have to label these different instruments that you would use for cooking. And then you have B, so you have the other student, right? They'd work together. And then the master, that would be for the teacher, right? And then again, you've got the British version. So recipe A for one student. And you see this looks a little bit more like the Uzbek or the Russian version of pancakes. And similar, right? Recipe B, fill in the blank. And then we have the master one for the teacher. So what do you think? Do you think that these food recipes, do you think that you could use this with your students? I think they're great with girl students because it's about cooking. Okay. Well, Gemma here, what do you think about for boys? What do you think is a topic that the boy students would like? Football. Okay, yeah. And so you could put sports in there, right? And so that's something that I would like you to try, right? So if you're on your phone, if you go back to that, this first one, right? Instead of food, what you're going to do is you're going to put in like sports or family or animals or something like that. So let's go ahead. We can go back to the website version. All right, we can see here. All right, so I'd like you to tell me, what should I put in here if we are looking here? I know Jeva here said football. Let me see what football. English. We could do middle school, right? That's a little bit younger. Let's see if anything comes up for football. We've got 3. Okay. All right. Football safety, mind. What comes to mind? We've got, okay, it looks like similar. Okay. Let's see what this says. Right. And again, we've got to do the view resource, right? And you can also come down here and read the description. Okay, that's not a very long description, right? But we can see. All right. Okay. And see, sometimes we have to click on different things. This one isn't, it's not showing us a lot. So again, right, sometimes you try to search for something, you're not going to find a lot. And so you have to keep looking. All right, what about somebody else? What is a topic you think that would be useful for your students? All right, Dilifers, what do you think? What topic do you think I should look for? Symbols? What kind of symbols? Symbols of countries. Okay, yeah, let's see. Let's see what we can do here.
You know, I think that people like to know, wants to know about traditions, about symbols, about monuments, maybe, and sightseeings of
Okay.
English-speaking countries, for example, United Kingdom, America, Australia, and etc. I think so.
Okay, so like monuments. Yeah, let's see what that brings up, right? Unfortunately, there's nothing there, so that does happen, right? I know that there's when I do this in person at the Malikoshevitz, I know that people find stuff for animals. So let's go ahead. Again, it takes some time, right? You're not going to find something for every topic, right? So here, there's 22, right? Oh, I know this one, a lot of the teachers like this one about Jaws, talking about snakes. All right. All right. And so sometimes, right, there's a video and you can watch a video. All right. And so sometimes you have to keep clicking, right? And you can find different materials there. All right. What's another topic? Maybe we could do something about like travel, maybe travel. Whoa, 499. That's a lot more, right? Okay. All right. So this is in Spanish. Well, that's not too helpful. Okay. Languages.
What about international organizations?
International organizations?
Yes. Maybe UNESCO, UNICEF.
Okay, I know what you're doing right now in your classes, right? I've been observing that.
Yes, we have now.
Yeah, that's what you have.
According our classes. Because we have our books are old, very old. That's why. No. Yeah.
Digital literacy, that's interesting. I know you have stuff about like technology in your textbooks, the older ones anyway, the higher levels. Let's see, what about, let me put in a specific one, okay? So how about this? I can put United Nations, right? I know that's one that isn't in your book.
Yeah.
See, and you can see we're starting to see some of those symbols that I showed you guys earlier. That didn't turn up. Sometimes you have to look, right? And it just depends on what's popular, what people have shared. I know family is a common one that teachers look for. Yeah, so here's something about family right here, so you can see. Okay, the lesson focuses on a family depicted in a work of art. Okay, nice. So they do descriptions, vocabulary, oral and written, possessive adjectives, right? So we've got some good grammar there. So we can go ahead and look. So again, it just takes some time, right? You don't always find exactly what you want. Okay, and so you can click on them. And we can download the lesson. We've got a photo here and a student handout. right? And then a lesson plan for what to do. If you want to describe families, talk about families. So again, hopefully it's useful for all of you. It can take a little bit of time. Here's some references. This article here are where I got a bunch of those resources that I showed you that are in that folder that you can download. Here's an article that I wrote about using them. All right, I know all of you know me on Telegram. So, all right. Well, I hope that that was helpful, and thank you for coming today. It was nice to hear from some of you. So,
Thank you very much.
mhm. All right. All right, I'll see you later.